Selena the Series Part 2. I finished watching it because I'm going to make a note about this. I don't like the fact that Netflix premiered it in the middle of the week. That made no sense to me. Selena's birthday this year was on a Friday. Netflix usually drops movies on a Friday. I felt like it would have made more sense for it to drop on her birthday, but that's just me. But nevertheless, the series dropped on May 4th. I didn't get to watch it because I was busy with school and stuff, but I did say that I was going to watch it last weekend. I did. Honestly, I liked part 2 more than I liked part 1. Part 1 was good. It dragged a little bit. You're going to hear a bunch of noise outside because, spring in New York. So, yeah, I feel like part 1 was good. Don't get me wrong. I liked part 1. However, I feel like the hair and stuff was better in part 2. They could have did better, but her hair and everything, looks and everything looked better in part 2. So in part 1, we pretty much see, the rise and the fame of Selena y los Dinos and everything. And then like part 1 ended with Abraham finding about Selena and Chris being together and firing Chris from the band. Now part 2 picks up where that left off, where, Selena is really at war with her emotions on if she should have chose Chris over work or whatever, which is a hard decision to make because she's so young or whatever. Like at this point in time, she was so young. I think she was only like 19, 20. And her father and everybody's drilling it in her head. No, travel, see the world, figure out what you like. And Selena's like, no, I know in my heart of hearts I love Chris. I want to be with Chris. So the one thing that I can say that I loved about part 2 was that they showed Selena more so as human, because in the movie they kind of like glossed over everything. Like you pretty much got everything in one swoop. Like their rise to fame, and it went straight to her being older and performing at bigger venues and stuff like that. In the series, it breaks it down, and it's not just Selena. It breaks it down what everybody was going through. The people in the band, Pete, Ricky, Suzette, AB, Abraham, and Marcella. Like it breaks down what everybody was going through. What everybody was going through at that time when Selena was, she was a rising star. So, I took some notes. I'm not gonna go through all of the notes or whatever, but Selena, from what the movie said, Selena went off and eloped with Chris. At first they weren't going to allow them to get the marriage license because it took 72 hours, but because of who she was and because the judge's daughter was a big fan of hers, she was able to obtain her marriage license sooner than that. So as they were leaving the courthouse or whatever, naturally somebody saw them, and the news broke that Selena and Chris got married. So Selena and Chris, they hid out or whatever and didn't really confront the family about it until like maybe a couple of days later or so. Abraham, everybody accepted it. At this point, you have no choice. They're married. So Selena and Chris were trying to figure out where they're going to live, how they're going to start their life or whatever. Abraham had a house next door that he was going to rent out, but he's like, I would much rather Selena and Chris live there because at least I know she's right there. So Selena and Chris move into that house, and they begin their lives as they're doing this. Selena is like, once again, she's moving, like she's on the Veronica Castro show or whatever, and Abraham tells her just before she goes on the show, like, don't tell anybody that you're married or whatever because you have an image to protect or whatever. So Selena is at war with herself with if she should reveal that she's married or not. And then, like, after she thought about it, she's like, listen, I'm very genuine. I love my fans. I don't like lying to them. So, why should I lie about being married? So she didn't say it at the Veronica Castro show, but when she did a show, I forgot the show. I forgot where she did the show, but I think it was like, was it 100,000 people? I don't remember how many people were there, but I know it was a big concert, And when she was introducing the band, she introduced Chris as her husband. Naturally, the guys were like, boo. So Selena is like, listen, you guys wouldn't be booing if you were married to me, you know? Let my man take care of me or whatever. And, that is what it is. So I thought it was cool how she handled that or whatever. Because, usually when you get married or whatever and you're a big time artist or whatever, you're like selling a fantasy. People want to know that they want to think that they can have you or have a chance with you. But if you're married, it kind of diminishes your image a little bit. Somewhat. I don't all the way agree with that. So, Suzette was still upset about her eloping, and this was like harbored feelings or whatever. And Selena says that she wants to now open a boutique because not only is she a singer, she designs her own clothes too, and she's really, really good at it. So she wants to open up her boutique. I think at the same time, this is when Abraham was trying to open up, or he opened up Q Productions. And where he opened up Q Productions is the same garage or whatever that they were that they almost lived in or whatever. So he created Q Productions. Selena wanted to open a boutique, and they were pretty much telling her, you need people, you need to hire people, you need security, you need this, you need that, you need people to manage your stuff for you, because Selena was spreading herself thin. Like, she was late to meetings, she missed I think she missed paying people, like contractors or something like that. It was a lot of stuff that she was trying to do at once, but she couldn't because she needed people. But Selena just felt like, I could do it all. But then, her family's telling her, listen, you need help. So this is when they started entering in Yolanda. I really hate the fact that, like, Yolanda has to be a part of this story, because we all know how it ends. If you're a Selena fan, or even if you even heard of her, we all know how it ends. And but the one thing that shocked the hell out of me, it shocked me, but I wasn't surprised at the same time, was when I think Suzette was on the phone with Yolanda, and Yolanda's like, yeah, I could take care of all of that. I could take care of running the fan club. I could take care of that, this, that, and the third. Sorry. I could be there to do everything. And then when they hung up the phone, you see pictures of Selena on the wall, and it's like, okay, this is nothing. They go into this chick's room. She has a shrine of Selena. And I was like, oh, so nobody knew that this chick was crazy until it was too late, is what you're saying. Got it. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, that blew me away, because like, I knew Yolanda was obsessed just by the way she was acting. And if you've watched any of her interviews post Selena, like, I remember watching, I think it was it an MTV or VH1, one of them interviews she did. And I think this was like maybe a few years after Selena died. I don't know how far, but the whole interview, she was lying, and you can tell. You could tell by her mannerisms. You could tell by the story. The story did not add up. Like, she was making it seem like, oh, me and Selena were so close. She used to call me mom. Why is she gonna call you mom when she has a mom? And then she was like, telling her story about how the gun went off and everything. She was like, I was really gonna kill myself, and I put the gun to my head, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, Selena. I'm gonna do it, Selena. And that's when she dropped to her knees and was like, Mom, please, no. And I'm like, that don't sound like the story at all. The original story that was told was that, I'll get to that part. I'll get to that part when it comes to that part. I don't even want to talk about it right now. We're talking about Selena. So yeah. Yolanda is running the fan club and handling the business or whatever. And Selena is, she's gaining more popularity as a rising star, local artist or whatever. She is, I think she was nominated, her live album was nominated for a Grammy. So, she goes to New York for the Grammys or whatever, and she, everybody's asking her, well, do you have your Grammy speech ready? And she's like, I don't really want to do a Grammy speech because I feel like it's bad luck or whatever. So, She when she wins the award, she thanks Suzette, she thanks her parents, she thanks AB, and she forgets to thank Chris, and she felt really, really bad about it. Now, the part that irritated me about this is she, all right, this is around the time she met Martin Gomez. I think this is just before they went into business together. Martin Gomez is the one who helped create her Grammy dress. So um now, and comparing the Grammy scene with the series with the movie one, because I don't like how they did her hair for the Grammys in the series. Why did her hair look like a daggone beehive? It looked weird. Like, okay, I know she had like the big hair was like a it looked like a bun or whatever, and then like some of her hair was falling down or whatever. I'm pretty sure that was a wig that she was wearing, but whomever did it, they didn't tighten up the back. So like the back was just hanging. Like from head first, she looked fine, but when she turned and you seen like that big bulge in the back, it looked so weird. And I'm like, come on. Like that's the thing that was pissing me off about this series, that they kept messing, like the wigs were just awful. And I'm like, come on, y'all could do better than this for Selena. Like Selena's hairstyles were not hard to do. Honestly, if you look at how her hair was done, her hairstyles weren't hard to do. They were not hard to do at all. So her Grammy hair really bothered me. But what I thought was adorable was that she was at the Grammys and she was like really like, you know, she was really in awe being around all the celebrities or whatever. Like Whitney Houston walked by her. Luis Miguel was in the same room as her, Gloria Estefan, and she was just like, oh my god, I look like, you know, and her and Suzette is like, we belong here, we belong here. And I thought it was also adorable that two girls that were fans of Selena were outside and they were like, Selena, we love you, you know, from Puerto Rico to DR, we love you, da, da, da. And I thought that was adorable because that showed that yes, she's a celebrity, but she's still humble. She's not letting the whole celebrity get to her head. So, you know, this whole series, like I said, it made Selena more human. Like, not to say that she wasn't, but like I said, the movie glossed over that. Yes, we know she loved her fans, but the movie glossed over that. Like, it didn't show her in the movie, you know, being a fan of Whitney Houston and Luis Miguel and all of these people. You know, it pretty much showed her as, yes, I'm a celebrity. Yes, I'm famous. Yes, I love my fans, whatever, whatever. Like, it showed the glitz and glam side of her versus, you know, the real raw and uncut. And that's what I feel like the series captured. So, now this is around the time that Suzette is getting married. She got engaged to her boyfriend, Bill. And now her and Bill are planning a wedding or whatever. And Selena is having doubts and regrets of just eloping as opposed to having a wedding. And I mean, the beauty of it is Suzette and Selena took bridal pics together so that it could, you know, so that Marcella could have pictures of them both, you know, in wedding attire. She got both of her girls married or whatever, all of her kids married at this point, because, you know, AB was married to Vanjie, or is still married to Vanjie. I don't know, probably. But yeah, so you know, they take the pictures and everything, and Selena, this is around the time that Selena is like the label is wanting her to go solo, but they're saying if she goes solo, she can't take Los Dinos with her. They just want her, and they want her to go solo so they could start working on her English crossover album. So she's very, very like scared about going off on her own or whatever. And you know, Suzette is like, I'll always be here for you, you know, no matter what, I'll still be here for you, you know, helping with outfits, helping with whatever you need. It's not like you're losing your family. It's just that, you know, it's time for you to branch out on your own. So a lot of that was stressing her out. It took her a while to sign the deal because she was afraid of what would happen. So now they're trying to come up with a song. For like the Latin market or whatever, and as they're practicing, she's singing. She's like, itty bitty bubbles, If I had a wish, I'd be a fish. Itty bitty bubbles. And I'm like, that's how Bitty Bitty Bum Bum came to be? I mean, notice I have the shirt on, you know. Bitty Bitty Bum Bum. But yeah, I'm like, if that's how Bitty Bitty Bum Bum started, I think that is so stinking adorable. Because Bitty Bitty Bum Bum is about, you know, the sound that your heartbeat makes when you see the love of your life or whatever. And I'm like, the song is very upbeat, you know. Bitty Bitty Bum Bum is very upbeat. But I'm like, if it came to be like off of Itty Bitty Bubbles, I think that is so cute. That's an adore like, and that's what it seemed like. Most songwriters, I feel like that's how they get their like creativity to flow. Like a song will start off one way and it'll end up another, and I think that's so dope. And I think Selena wrote that whole song herself, because I think AB told her, okay, well, if you turn this into a song, you have to make it something that's more so about love or something meaningful. And she came up with Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, and I'm like, who would think? Because Bitty Bitty Bum Bum is not even a word. Like it's just it's a noise. Like that's how you spell the sound. Bitty Bitty Bum Bum. Like that. So I thought that was adorable, and I was like, okay. So now, you know, her boutique is opening and everything is, you know, fine or whatever, but Selena is still spread it thin. So Selena is happy that her boutique is opening, but she doesn't realize that Yolanda is jealous of her success and all of this stuff. And Yolanda's off to the side, upset and whatnot. And I'm like, child. Like, I really wish Selena would have saw like the kind of snake Yolanda was. So, well, I kind of went ahead with the Grammy thing, but the movie did mention that Beyonce, and this is what everybody was in an uproar about. Beyonce and Selena kind of sort of met in a mall in Houston, and it wasn't really so much that they met. Selena waved to Beyonce, but I know Beyonce is like she's a Selena fan too, which I thought that was cute that they put that in there. But you know, everybody else tried to make it seem like, oh, this movie is not about Beyonce, this movie is about Selena, da, da, da. I'm like, why can't y'all just look at it at the standpoint of Beyonce was inspired, or is like her career was inspired by Selena. Like a lot of these artists are inspired by Selena, especially if you look at how they're dressing and whatnot. Come on, look at a lot of the stuff that Beyonce wears. A lot of the stuff she wears is inspired by Beyonce. Why? I mean, shit. A lot of the stuff that Beyonce wears is inspired by Selena. So it's like, why? Like, I didn't think nothing of it. Like, it was literally only, what, like 20 seconds of seeing Beyonce see Selena. That was it. People really made it seem like Beyonce was in the whole movie. I was like, ciao, bye. So, now that Selena is about to move on to like English crossover after the Grammys and everything, now they're trying to make her appeal to the American market and like put her in a box like as a pop singer, which I felt like they shouldn't have done, because Selena has the type of voice where you don't put that voice in a box. You don't put her type of personality in a box. Selena was a powerhouse. That woman was an actor, singer, dancer, okay? And she was good at all three. She was good at all three. Her vocals are unmatched. Her dance moves were friggin' iconic. So for them to want to bring her over to the English market and, oh, you need a vocal coach. We need you to sound more pop. I'm like, what? And then, this is what made me mad. The fact that they were listening to Captive Heart. Anybody who knows me knows that Captive Heart is my song. Captive Heart is where Selena's vocals really shine. She had, like, her voice is crazy on that song, okay? Her voice is so, like, you could feel all of the emotion in that song. If you've never heard Captive Heart by Selena, go YouTube it, Spotify it, Apple Music it, something. Listen to Captive Heart. That woman, she was singing from her core when she sung that song. And I don't like the fact that when they were playing it in the meeting, they were trying to make it seem like, oh, well, you know, her voice isn't strong enough. I'm like, her voice ain't strong enough. She slaughtered that song. So I'm watching it and I'm like, bruh, what more do y'all want from this woman? I don't see anything like, but again, it's the American music market, and the industry is garbage over here. That's just what it is. So they got her a vocal coach. She ain't really needed, but they got her a vocal coach or whatever. And this is around the time that her and Chris are like disconnecting, which I appreciated the series for this too, because everybody thought that Selena and Chris had like the perfect marriage and they were perfect for each other, but they had issues like any other married couple, and they were like disconnected in their feelings of, you know, going separate places. Like around the time that she's trying to go solo, Chris is trying to embark on a solo career too, but Chris is feeling like he's riding her coattails. He's not feeling like he's an individual. So like they're disconnected at this point or whatever. And Selena just felt like she was losing herself. Like she didn't feel like she was herself anymore, because she felt like she was like being pulled away from her family, until she had to meet with a songwriter. I forgot his name in the movie, but he helped write I Could Fall in Love. And when they did that, that's when everything came back full circle for her, and she felt like, you know, connected to Chris again. Like she felt like, you know, that's the love of my life. I love him, and we're fighting over something so dumb or whatever. So once she started singing that and she recorded that, that's when her and Chris were like, you know, we could work it out. We could make it do anything. You know, I know it's a lot of pressure on you. It's a lot of pressure on me, but we can do this together, blah, blah, blah. So they worked it out. So now we have the Selena etc. boutique fashion show, and you know, Martin is, you know, helping her with the clothes, and she has people walking down the aisle modeling and everything. This is all of her fashions from her boutique. So Selena is at dinner. I think she was with Jose Behar. I think they were having lunch or dinner or something like that. And Selena was served for unpaid bills. This is around the time that the family and everybody found out that Yolanda was stealing, embezzling, and all of that stuff. And Selena's like, how? How could this happen? At first, Selena didn't believe it, but it was confirmed. Suzette, Abraham, and Selena all had a meeting, and they had the papers there. And, you know, Abraham is like, well, who was this person? How were they able to sign checks out of the business account? Like, these are people that don't even work with Selena or whatever. So Abraham was like, listen, I can't fire you because you don't work for me, but you are never ever again allowed to step foot in Q Productions. So technically he did fire her. And Yolanda was desperate. She was like, I'll show you, it's just a misunderstanding. I didn't steal anything, blah, blah, blah. So the whole entire time that she was fired, she's blowing up Selena's phone like, please, let's talk. You know, I'm sorry, this is a misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. Selena doesn't really want to hear it because the proof was right there. You stole. You were writing checks to yourself using under like aliases and other people's names, and that's not cool. So now around this time, they were saying they wanted Selena to do like record a live concert album at the Houston Astrodome. So the Houston Astrodome holds about 60,000 people or so, and that was a big deal for her to like record at the Houston Astrodome or whatever. Around the same time that this is coming up, Yolanda buys the gun. So Yolanda is trying to go back into the building to get some stuff that belongs to her, and Abraham pulls up and sees her, and he's like, I told you, you are not allowed here anymore. So Yolanda says to him, you'll get to know who I really am, Mr. Quintanilla, and that was the warning right there. So she bought the gun or whatever, and this is around the time that Selena and Chris are talking about what they're going to do after the tour. Selena is saying she wants to build a house from the ground up. She wants to have 5 kids. All of these things Selena wants to do. Never got to do, unfortunately. And Suzette was saying, well, Suzette shattered her ankle, so Suzette couldn't play the Astrodome, but Suzette was there. So they had to find another drummer to go in Suzette's place. And Suzette was like, well, the last leg of the tour I could do with you, but after that, I'm going to move on and I'm going to do, I'm going to spend more time with my family or whatever. And, Selena was like, oh, I'm going to miss you. Like, things were starting to change for everybody, for everybody. So, again, now it's like the day before Selena meets up with Yolanda, and Selena is writing out stuff for her taxes and stuff. She's like, I feel like it's still papers missing. So Chris is like, well, don't stress yourself about it tonight. We'll probably figure it out tomorrow, whatever. So at that same time, Yolanda calls Selena like 1:30 in the morning, and she's like, Selena, I really need your help, and I know you're the only person that can help me, blah, blah, blah. So Selena agrees to meet up with Yolanda the next day. Now, she takes Yolanda to the hospital because Yolanda says that she was raped and beat by two guys or whatever. She takes Yolanda to the hospital. Yolanda is like, it's confirmed by a doctor that she has no physical trauma, no signs of rape or anything. So pretty much Yolanda lied. So Selena's like, come on, Yolanda, with the lies. Like, I just want my documents. Do you have my perfume samples? Do you have my documents for taxes? Like, I just need this stuff. She's like, yes, I have it. It's in my room. So this is the part of the movie where I kind of went numb because I knew what was going to happen. And the movie didn't show, because nobody really knows what that scene looked like except for Yolanda and Selena. And we all know Yolanda is a liar, so her version of the story is trash. So the only thing that they show is that Yolanda and Selena go into the hotel room, and then it kind of blurs from there, but you see what every other staff member was doing at the hotel at the time when this happened. So the last thing we see is Selena going in the room with Yolanda, and then you got the workers in the hotel working, and it was like one of the housekeepers was, I think, working in the room right next door to the room Selena and Yolanda was in. She's cleaning, all of a sudden she hears a gunshot. So now, after that, it goes to AB and Abraham. They're at lunch or something, and I know AB was waiting for Selena to come back to the studio to record or something like that, and they get the call that Selena was shot. Now we go to the scene where they never show Selena. They just show, from her point of view, like what it looked like as she was going in and out of consciousness. So like the ambulance, the people, the paramedics, everybody is trying to work to like keep her alive, and they're like, no, her pulse is faint or whatever. She's drifting in and out of consciousness. Come on, we gotta work. Unfortunately, they couldn't save her, and Selena passed away. So AB and Abraham are rushing to the hospital. They find out that she passed away. Of course, the whole entire world is just like, it stops. People brought candles and all of that to her house, put it in front of her house. They showed the girls that was like, the girls that saw Selena at the Grammys. They showed them at the store when they heard the news. They showed one of the little girls from part one who gave Selena the lit rose. They showed one of the boys who was a fan. He didn't receive his fan club stuff because this is around the time that Yolanda was stealing. He didn't receive his fan club stuff, but Abraham gave him and his mom complimentary tickets to the Houston show. So Selena's gone, unfortunately. And nobody, not even the family, even got to hear Dreaming of You. So they're sitting there and they're listening to it, and they're like, wow, like this would have catapulted her. Like, so Dreaming of You was released a few months after Selena passed away, and it skyrocketed, because she passed away. And the song is beautiful. Dreaming of You is a very beautiful song. It really, that song breaks my heart every time I hear it, but I love that song. But it's just that the same with Aaliyah's Rock the Boat. Anytime I hear Rock the Boat, I get sad, because these are like songs and stuff that they've done like right before they died. So, yeah, Dreaming of You went on to sell like, I think it went gold or platinum or something like that. But, you see everybody, like how everybody was affected after she passed away. And they went back to the interview that she had, I think just before she did a show, and she was like, you know, they were like, when you're gone, how do you want to be remembered? And she's like, I just want to be remembered as someone who, you know, did her very best and never stopped. I kept pushing, I was true to myself, you know, things like that. And that's literally how she's remembered, you know, even 26 years after her passing away. It's still a heavy void in the industry, because Selena would have been, she would have been what she is now, an icon. Like the fact that she had like her own fashion sense, and I really think with the times, especially the times now, Selena would have been a beast in this industry. She really would have, especially if she would have hit the English, like the American music market. She was gonna be a force to be reckoned with, like hands down. But it's just sad that she didn't get to live to see all of her accomplishments. You know, she didn't get to have her children. She didn't get to build her house. All these things that she wanted to do, she didn't get to do, and it's very sad. But part 2 was very good. I like the fact that it went more in depth of her as a human and what was going on with the family and the band and everything, like behind the scenes. I liked how they talked about how each song came about. Like, I didn't know that No Me Queda Más was about Suzette. I didn't like that they didn't go more in depth in that, because it was just random that Ricky wrote the song and it was about Suzette, and then he started crying when he heard it, but they never really talked about why. And my assumption is, I guess Ricky was in love with Suzette, but because Suzette moved on and was married to Bill or whatever, that made Ricky feel away. I don't know, but they never really talked about it. They glossed over that. And I like the fact that they showed, you know, that Chris and Selena had their ups and downs, and that even though they got married, it was a lot on them. Like, the whole situation, it was a lot on them. So I appreciated part 2. Part 2 was very, very, very good, and I enjoyed it. I just wish they would have did better with her. Like, some of her hairstyles, I did not like. The Grammys here, I didn't like how they did it. And I also didn't like how they did the when she had the half up, half down, and like not with the bang, because I thought it looked cute with the bang. When she didn't have the bang, like it looked like she had on a wig. Like the edges were not, like, some of her hairstyles I did not like. Like, I feel like they could have done better with some of her hairstyles. And like I said, for part 1, her earlier hairstyles were like super easy to do. Like, those are not hard to do, because she had like short hairstyles and like wild hair, and those are easy to do. So I'm like, even if y'all had to get a wig, y'all could have done it. Like, it's just some, but hey, it is what it is. You know, the wigs didn't make the series any less, you know, good. It's just, it disturbed me a little bit. But part 2 was very good. If you have not watched it yet, you should tune in. But if you have not seen part 1, you have to watch part 1 first in order to understand what's going on. But yeah, so I thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about Teesha on the Tube. I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day. I don't know if I say happy belated Mother's Day. Weird, but whatever. But yeah, I hope every mom had a wonderful Mother's Day, and I will see you in the next video. Later.